What's going on, guys? Welcome back to #AskGSM here today for Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all those that have served. We appreciate you. I appreciate you guys joining me here today for another new episode of the show, #AskGSM, episode 624 for November, like I said, 11th, 2025. If you probably noticed, my voice is shot. I was at Raw last night. It was a great show. I'm still recovering. I am fucking exhausted, and I have a ton of stuff to do. So I apologize for the delay as well. I wasn't exactly sure what time we were going live. We can't go live as long as we normally do here today just due to the abbreviated schedule. So it was a fun show last night. It was a really fun show. I'll actually be there confirmed. The thing from last night kind of came together last minute. I will be there for sure next Monday in Madison Square Garden. So for those that are going, let me know. Would love to see you. But I will be there next Monday for Raw, John Cena's final Raw. And I wasn't sure if I was going last night, but listen, fuck it. He'll never be back in Boston as an in-ring competitor. And I got to see him in the ring last night, win the Intercontinental Championship, and ended up being a very fun, newsworthy show. So I'm glad I went. And we'll talk about it here today on the show. So like I said, I appreciate those that can join live. Thank you very much. We'll run through the housekeeping stuff here real quick before we get going with your questions in the chat, and then the scheduled questions a little bit later on. Shout out to the channel members: Alexis, Miss Maud Matthews, Dillon, DiGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, DJ Swerve1 at Swerve1 on IG, Mr. Marceau at RJ_Marceau on X, John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland on YouTube, Richie as well right here on YouTube, Red Planet Wrestling on YouTube. Average Grunt, find him on Blue Sky at gruntwrestling.bluesky.social. Thank you again to our channel members. More information on that down below in the description box. $5 a month gets you shout-outs at the beginning and end of every single live stream that we do here on the channel. You get early and ad-free access to certain videos here on the channel as well. Badges and emojis in the live chat, top billing on #AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio, and so much more. So consider signing up for that. What was the other thing I was going to mention? Oh, speaking of like videos that went up and whatnot, check out the latest WrestleRant ranks that went up yesterday, where I ran down 7 matches that John Cena never had that probably could have realistically happened at some point in the last 20 plus years. So check those out. Check out that video right now from yesterday, all new episode of WrestleRant ranks. And from Sunday, a couple quotes from it went viral among the wrestling community in the last 24 hours. But check out my interview that I posted from Sunday. This was from SummerSlam weekend. I have so much unreleased content. You have no fucking idea. It's just a matter of having the time and also finding the files and putting it together. A lot of editing goes into some of this stuff. So, and then uploading it, processing it, and whatever. So Sunday, my interview with Alexa Bliss went up, and it was recorded over SummerSlam, but I appreciate Fightful among all the other outlets that shared the highlights from the interview. It's only like a 3-minute interview, but we talked about her teaming with Charlotte Flair, which was actually newsworthy because she just lost the WWE Tag Team titles with Charlotte on Monday night. But she also talked about which Disney live-action movie she would want to be in, and that got quite the controversy online with the quote shared on Monday from Fightful. So I appreciate those that checked it out. Check that out if you haven't already. It's like a 3-minute video, went up on Sunday, and there's plenty of more interviews and videos that I've recorded, not even like in recent months, but like over the years that I've just never released. So hopefully at some point as I continue to find the time, certainly not fucking today, after last night's Raw, it took a while for me to get back. It was also a nightmare leaving as it usually is, leaving the garage. Not the TD Garden garage, but I parked in a parking garage near the arena yesterday, and just obviously everyone's leaving at once. So I didn't go to the one that I normally go to, which is like a half mile away. It's closer to a mile away from the arena. I didn't go there. It wasn't available when I looked online. But the one that I did go to was fine. Tight quarters, but it was fine. Cheap parking. It's just that everyone was leaving at one time. So I didn't get back until like fucking 2 o'clock in the morning. And I still have a lot of shit I got to catch up on. But anyway, if you want to send in a question to this show, you could do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, or rather Monday nights. I'm still in the habit of saying Tuesdays, even though the video's we've been doing #AskGSM live on Tuesdays all year. But I usually put up the post live on Mondays, so check that out and drop your question there. You can also drop a question on this very video in the comment section down below. Of course, when the video is done processing, I will include it in next week's edition. If you are watching live, one of the perks of watching live is that you can include questions in the chat as we're recording here, and I will answer your questions as we go along. I will get to the scheduled questions a little bit later on. I don't have a ton of time here today, so we'll see how much time I spend on each question, but we do have a lot of great questions to get to, and we will get to those soon enough. So like I said earlier, I appreciate all of those that are watching live and after the fact. Be sure to like this video if you haven't already. It would greatly be appreciated. It means a lot, really helps the channel. And also be sure to subscribe. I imagine most of you already have by this point if you are watching live and commenting. But if you subscribe, hit that notification bell to be notified every single time we go live here on the channel, and typically Tuesdays and Thursdays for hashtag AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio, respectively. So I think that's about it. So we'll get going here with the chat and the comments. And like I said, I appreciate everyone joining. I got to back up the chat here a little bit. I see Johnny joining. He said, even when Liv Morgan returns, the Judgment Day will continue for 5 more years. I fucking hope not, but we will get to that later on. The Squirter, who made his debut on WrestleRant Radio in the chat last Thursday. What a fucking name. He said, hi, Graham and RJ. Graham, I thought you said Cena would not win the IC title, LOL. 2 things. One, Mr. Marceau is not here today. He is not here for hashtag AskGSM. He is my co-host, my partner in crime for WrestleRant Radio on Thursdays. But it's funny that I mention that because he will not be here on Thursday. I will either have another co-host on Thursday or a just flying solo for Thursday's show. Hopefully by that point I have my voice back and we're good. But Mr. Marceau actually currently, as of right now, as of around 1 p.m. Eastern time, he's actually in flight, I think. He's on his way to Louisville for like a work trip. So I was talking with him last night during Raw. I would have loved to have him I would have loved to have had him at Raw with me last night. He's a lot closer to Boston than I am, but he's flying out today, and I'll be seeing him on Sunday anyway. RJ's birthday is on Sunday, and I'll be seeing him. We'll be getting dinner on Sunday. So Mr. Marceau will not be here. He's definitely not here today. He's not here on Tuesdays, but he typically works Thursdays with me. He will not be here this Thursday. He'll be back next week here on the channel. Fernando, what's going on? He said, do you agree with Cena winning the IC Championship last night? I don't. Oh, that's the second thing I was going to talk about with the Squirter's comment there. No, I did not think he would fucking win it. I am very surprised that he did. I mean, going into the show with how heavily rumored it was that we were getting that match at Survivor Series, I kind of figured it was going to happen. But if you're talking about that I did not think it would happen a few weeks ago or a few months ago, that's true. I did say that because I thought it was so nonsensically stupid to take the championship off of Dom and put it on Cena for, what, a fucking month? I still don't agree with it. We'll get into it. A lot of people have asked about it. I'll get into more detail about it probably on Thursday, but I'll probably just end up giving my full thoughts on it here today. It made for an amazing moment. I mean, it was fucking deafening in that arena when John Cena won the championship last night. That crowd went fucking ballistic. One of the loudest pops I've heard live in a long time. But I'm not a fan of the move personally. Cool moment. Very cool moment. Oh, he won the Grand Slam. Like, who gives a shit? I'm typically the type of person who does give a shit about that sort of shit. But the John Cena character has not given a shit about that Intercontinental Championship for fucking 23 years. Why would all of a sudden, I mean, granted, he wasn't out there challenging Dom for the championship, like telling him he will challenge him for the title. It was an impromptu match made official by Triple H. It wasn't like John Cena was like, oh, I want to become Grand Slam champion. I mean, he didn't talk about that. The commentators did. The website did. The internet did. Whatever. I don't know. Great moment. We'll see what they do with it. I can't say I really give a fuck. I don't really think that was necessary, but just me. Fernando's other question was Chelsea Green winning back the Women's United States Championship the right decision? Yeah. I mean, honestly, I can't think of another instance. I wrote this in my review on WrestleRant.com last week when I reviewed SmackDown. I can't think of another instance of when a wrestler or a champion, rather, has come close to breaking the record. And you know how they always have them defend the championship right before they break a record, like of the longest reigning championship reign of that title's history, whatever. Like, it's not like Gunther fucking lost right before he broke the record. No one ever really loses right before they break a record. Like, they're a couple days out or a couple weeks out. They never lose. Except Chelsea Green beat Julia. I mean, that's a record that no one gives a fuck about, but they made a bigger deal about it. That was the whole reason why the match happened. The whole reason why Chelsea Green got the title shot in the first place was because she mentioned that her streak as the longest reigning women's United States champion of all time was in jeopardy. And she won. She actually won. She beat Julia before Julia could beat her record, and in the process also making history and becoming the first ever two-time women's United States champion for whatever the fuck that's worth. Did I agree with it? I mean, the way that it happened, definitely not. A throwaway minute-long match? The fuck is that? I mean, it makes Julia look like an idiot. It makes her look like a loser. But Chelsea getting the belt back, honestly, it doesn't bother me. I mean, they have just done very little with Julia during her run. She got off to a good enough start in those matches with Zelina Vega. They had quality matches and they worked well together. The feud wasn't really all that deep, but they had a couple of good matches together. And then it fell off a fucking cliff. I mean, she started working with Michin and specifically B-Fab. Like, who cares? Who gives a fuck? It was a feud that no one cared about. And her reign ended up being a total afterthought. So, honestly, putting the belt back on Julia, or Chelsea rather, doesn't really bother me. It really doesn't. It doesn't bother me at all. She's over. She's entertaining. She can take the title to NXT and as part of her program with Joe Hendry and Thea Hale. Why the fuck not, you know? Johnny said Nixon and Miranda Belaya. Miranda Alizé. I'll talk about that. Someone asked a question about it. Their favorite promo is the 3 minutes don't work for me, brother. Johnny also said Nixon going to go wrestle Mercedes Moné in a walkout match. He said, other matches Cena could have done. Shane McMahon, last man standing. Okay. Vince McMahon, street fight, kiss my ass. William Regal, submission match. Christian, TLC match. Matt Hardy, ladder match. So those are all matches with specific stipulations, of course, that did not happen. But John Cena faced every single one of those people one-on-one. I think he faced Christian one-on-one. He definitely faced him in a three-way of vengeance in 2005. I'm almost positive they had a one-on-one match at one point. Or maybe I think they had a match on Raw in 2011. I'm pretty sure they had a match on Raw in 2011. I don't know if that was their first ever singles match, but they definitely faced off on Raw in 2011 in a pretty forgettable match. All the other people he faced, one-on-one as well. Not no specific stipulations, but he faced Edge in a TLC match. Cena did have a ladder match, or was it a TLC match? No, it was a ladder match with Dolph Ziggler. So, I mean, a ladder match with Matt Hardy, who cares? But last man standing with Shane, I could have done without that. The Vince McMahon matches that he had with Vince, I think one of them might have been no DQ. And then the Regal submission match, he faced Regal. It was not a submission match, but, would have been fine. He said, thoughts on the 2025 PWI Women's 250 Top 10. I'll talk more about that on Thursday. I saw that came out today. I will save my thoughts on that for Thursday's show. He also asked, favorite match at Survivor Series, favorite Survivor Series event, and favorite Survivor Series match. So what he means by that, I imagine, is favorite match to have taken place at Survivor Series and also favorite Survivor Series elimination tag match. Favorite event is easily O2. And the cool thing about the O2 Survivor Series, I fucking love that show. I was not a fan during that show. Like, I didn't start watching wrestling until years later, yet my favorite Survivor Series, and I've been to two, is the 2002 Survivor Series. I think that show is is literally almost perfect, if not perfect. That show is so fucking good. My favorite match at Survivor Series, I don't know. Maybe the Elimination Chamber match from that 2002 Survivor Series. And then favorite Survivor Series match, my answer has always been the 2014 Team Authority versus Team WWE, the Team Cena match. The Sting debut at the end of it I thought was perfect. The aftermath was awful because Dolph Ziggler was the sole survivor. It was an amazing moment for him, and it ended up amounting to nothing, of course, because that was never really the focal point or the plan. But the match itself I always really, really liked. I've watched it back many times, so that might still be my answer for favorite Survivor Series match. There's been a lot of great ones, and there's been some other good ones, since then. But the one that probably stands out the most to me, that I enjoy the most, would be probably that 2014 Team Authority, Team Cena match. But yeah, I think of the other questions I answered, though, favorite Survivor Series match, or like match at Survivor Series, it might be Elimination Chamber. I don't know what else it would be. I'd have to think back. There's a lot of great matches at Survivor Series. It might be the Elimination Chamber from 2002. And then favorite Survivor event would be 2002, like I said. Nathaniel said, I wonder who Dom faces at Survivor Series. I think it's going to be Ray. They're in San Diego. To not put Dom on that show would be fucking wild to me. Dominic really should be on the show. I thought we would get Ray and Dom for the IC title on that show, but that's obviously not happening now. I could see them doing them for the AAA Mega Championship. I've seen rumors they might save that for the next AAA show, I think in December. Maybe they do the rematch there, but I could see them having their match for the AAA World title at Survivor Series. They're in San Diego. Both guys should be on the show. What if John Cena joins War Games? That would be crazy. I think there's a distinct possibility of that. I think he honestly should. Cena's already advertised for a Survivor Series. Is he going to defend the championship on that show? I mean, he could. I really don't care to see Cena and Dom in a rematch, honestly. Like, what's the fucking point of putting the belt on Cena only to have him lose it back to the same guy 2 weeks later? That would just be a complete waste. And then Dom, I guess, could say he beat Cena, but I don't know. I just think that's dumb. Yeah, I do think Cena should be in War Games, though. I think we might find out next week on Raw and MSG. Nathaniel also said, my favorite Cena championship victory is when he beat AJ to win 16. That was an amazing match. So that might be my favorite as well. Jordan said happy Veterans Day. Nathaniel, same thing. Hope you guys are enjoying your Veterans Day as well. Thank you for joining us here on the show. Eric said, will Liv and Dom be baby faces? They will be. When Liv comes back, will she be a baby face out of the gate? I don't know. But I think ultimately she will be a baby face, yes. It's like when Rhea got hurt a few years ago. She wasn't out for nearly as long, but when she came back, she was a baby face. I don't know if that was ever really the original plan. It probably was, but Liv should be a baby face. I think she and Dom should stay together and break away from the Judgment Day. To kind of answer the question from up above, we'll get into it a little bit more shortly, but that's what I would do in a nutshell. Let me backtrack a little bit here. Squirter said, did you pop seeing your dad, Darren Matthews, show up on Raw? Yes, I did pop. I did pop seeing my dad pop up on Raw last night. So I shared this in a tweet during the show last night. I was there. And for whatever reason, Regal seems to be at shows that I'm at. So, like, he made his first WWE TV appearance again. He resurfaced on WWE television again for the first time since he got fired a few years earlier at the NXT. I've only been to one NXT TV taping at Full Sail. Not at Full Sail. Well, I mean, I've never been at Full Sail, but at the WWE PC. And that just so happened to be the show that he came back on. Albeit in a backstage segment, but I freaked the fuck out when that happened. And then he was at NXT in Lowell when I went there later in the year in 2024. And then he was on Raw last night. Again, not in the ring or anything, but he was in a backstage segment making War Games official, which was great. And honestly, I marked out more for that than that. I didn't really care about the Cena title win. I really didn't give a shit. To be honest with you, I wasn't really a fan of it. But I popped for the Regal thing. Honestly, the two biggest things I popped for on Raw last night being there live was William Regal showing up on the screen. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, honestly, I popped for a fucking graphic. I popped for the graphic of Javon Evans when he was announced for the tournament, and I was like, holy fuck, that's crazy. And then they announced he'd be facing fucking Gunther. And I'm like, holy shit. I can't wait to be at Raw next week because that match sounds fucking unreal. I can't wait to see that. I'm so excited. So, but anyway, I said this on Twitter last night. I'll keep this brief. Don't ask me how I remember this. I have a very weird memory. It was 17 years ago to the day of being at Raw last night that William Regal won the Intercontinental Championship on Raw in England. Now, the reason why I remember that is I was very excited for that show. The week prior, William Regal won a Battle Royal to become the number one contender to the title, and Regal wasn't really doing much on Raw at that point, and he is my favorite wrestler of all time. He's the one that got me into wrestling. So when I saw him become number one contender, I was very excited. The following week, I got grounded, literally that fucking day. My mom found out about my bad report card. I was fucked. I could not watch wrestling that night, albeit for a very long time. I could not watch Raw for months after that. So I couldn't watch the show. And I didn't find out until the next day, until my brother told me, actually, who did watch the show, I think, that William Regal won the championship, which I thought was awesome. And I was very excited to hear that. So anyway, 17 years removed from getting grounded and not being able to watch Raw and not being able to see William Regal win the Intercontinental Championship. Exactly 17 years later to the day, I get to attend Raw. I see John Cena win the Intercontinental Championship. The title changed hands 17 years ago exactly. And then again to the show that I went to last night. And William Regal popped up on the show. I mean, that's insane stuff. That's crazy. Richie said, doot. Richie, what's going on, brother? Thanks for joining. Always great to see you here in the chat. He's got the Love Ziggler emojis in the chat as well as Veer as well. 24-hour stream. I will be a fucking dead body here before I'm live for 24 hours. At least today. I am in no shape, no mental capacity to be streaming for 24 hours, let alone 4 or 5. Go back to bed after this. I got shit, unfortunately, I got to do after this. So I won't be able to sleep until tonight. So it is what it is. Johnny said, I won't be going to the MSG show. Hope you enjoy that good old New York pizza. Well, guess what, Johnny? I'm not getting that New York pizza. I'm not. Maybe, but I probably will not. I am going to an event before Raw that will have food there, and I'm probably not getting pizza. I don't get pizza when I go to New York. I know that's a big thing. We've talked about this before. I'd rather eat pizza here in good old Connecticut before I have it in New York. New York pizza, I'm sure, is great. I don't go to New York for the pizza, though. I certainly will not eat it off the streets. I'm sure that's the best New York. That's the best pizza in New York is the one off the streets. That's what people will tell you. I refuse to fucking eat it. So I will be there next week, so I look forward to that. No L, what's going on? Glad to see you here in the chat. Let me backtrack a little bit here. Hold on. Nathaniel said, I love seeing Cena where, if you can see him. I loved seeing Cena wear Celtics green, even though I'm a Lakers fan, and Celtics are our greatest rivals. I'm aware of that from watching the Winning Time show. I watched that show a few years ago. I'm well aware of the Celtics and Lakers rivalry. I want that shirt. I did not buy it last night. The merch line was fucking ridiculous. So I didn't buy the John Cena shirt last night. I probably still will. I might just get the New York one. I might end up getting both. I do not own a John Cena shirt. And I wanted to buy a John Cena shirt on one of the stops of his farewell tour. I've seen Cena in person a lot this year. I didn't really like the Springfield shirt. I was at Mania, SummerSlam, Rumble, all shows that Cena was on. I didn't really care for any of those shirts. I kind of wanted to see what shirts they would have when he was in Boston or New York. The Boston shirt I love. It looks almost identical to the TLC 2015 shirt that I have because that was at the TD Garden too, and that has the Celtics fucking logo on it. I didn't buy that shirt last night. I might when I go to Raw next week. It's going to be the same thing next Tuesday, by the way. I'll probably be exhausted then, too. I will not be back to normal until, and then after that is Thanksgiving, so I'm kind of fucked. But anyway, I might get that shirt next week. I saw that they put it up, actually, last night or this morning or something. It looks really cool, so I might end up getting it. Will I be making the pilgrimage to California for Survivor Series, Richie asked. Thank God I will not be. Thank God. I would love to. I mean, the show's going to be a good show. I say thank God because I think I might die in transit. I am not going to be at Survivor Series, but I will be. I want to be at Full Gear, which is in Newark. I have not been to an AEW show in over a year, so I'm hoping to be at Full Gear, but I might be at Full Gear in Newark. I don't know yet, but that's next Saturday. I am definitely going to MSG Raw next Monday. I was at Raw this Monday in Boston. I was at Raw in Springfield back in September. I was at Bound for Glory in Lowell last month. I was at SummerSlam both nights in fucking New Jersey, the Newark area actually, back in August. What else? I think I've been to other shows, but it's been a lot, among other things I've had to travel for. I'll be back in Massachusetts actually in 5 days to see RJ on his birthday, so you can't say I'm not a road warrior, but thankfully, I mean, the one thing I am happy about, actually, you know what, another thing I totally forgot to mention this, I was in fucking Orlando. Alexis and I went to the Halloween Horror Nights back in late September, which was great, but the travel is just killing me, so I think after Full Gear, I think I will not be traveling for anything for a while. I'm not going to the Rumble in Saudi Arabia, obviously. I don't think there's any shows in December I'm going to. But I've been to a lot of shows. I mean, they're all great shows, and I don't regret it. But it's just a lot of travel. So, I mean, I was also at Boston Comic-Con. I did not go to New York Comic-Con or Rhode Island Comic-Con, thankfully, this year. I was at Boston Comic-Con. we were in Salem in Massachusetts for Halloween 2 weeks ago, so the travel's been insane. But I think after Full Gear, if I go to Full Gear, I will certainly not be flying anywhere. I'm not flying to Full Gear, but I will not be flying anywhere for a long time because I'm not going to the Rumble. I will be going to Vegas for Mania, I'm sure, but I'm not going to fucking Saudi. Richie said, I think WWE had Cena win the IC title as an IOU to Boston for not getting Cena's final match in December. Just my opinion. A huge moment and a huge pop. You know what? Honestly, that would make sense. I could see that. I was fucking pissed when they announced it for DC. Selfishly. I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter where it happens, but he has no history in DC. And selfishly, I just wanted to go. I just wanted to go to the show. So I'm not going to DC. DC's not, it's not that far from me. I could take a train or drive or fly or something. But unless something comes up last minute, I am not going to Cena's final match. And I'm totally okay with that because I've seen Cena a lot this year, so I've gotten my fill of Cena. But I was mad because it would have fallen, actually. I was at the TD Garden last night, but the first time I ever attended the TD Garden in Boston was TLC 2015. Actually, no, that's not true. I'm sorry. It was for a Raw in October of 2015. But my first pay-per-view was TLC 2015. On December 13th, 2015, Cena's final match takes place on the exact 10-year anniversary of that show. Cena wasn't even on that TLC show. He was on the Raw in Boston in October of that year, but he wasn't on TLC. But for me personally, it would have been cool to be back in the building exactly 10 years to the day and see that final match. Unfortunately, it did not happen. But it is what it is. What can you do? Do you think Becky loses next week, Nathaniel asked? I don't think so. She could, honestly. I think there's a chance. I think she could lose to Maxine Dupree. Maybe AJ Lee cost her the win. Honestly, I don't think that's completely impossible. I still don't think Becky loses, especially after already beating her or losing to her twice by DQ and countout. But, maybe. He also asked, do I think SmackDown's a bad show? Yes, SmackDown is not, the worst ever. But quite honestly, the SmackDown creative sucks. It's significantly inferior to Raw. It is ridiculous how inferior SmackDown is to Raw creatively. Raw has its own issues. Raw's not a perfect show. But Raw is just a much better show. I don't know if it's a better roster, better storyline. SmackDown's a fucking dead show most weeks. I thought SmackDown on Friday, the Friday episode was fine. I don't think it was awful, as many other people said. But it's still in a very bad place creatively for a lot of reasons. What are my thoughts on Lash Legend, Von Tella asked? I think she's improved a lot. She's not my favorite on the roster. I think, I never really was a fan of her work in NXT, but I think she got better, honestly, with Jakara Jackson. I think they turned into a pretty good team. Then they fired Jakara, who went to TNA as Mara Sade or whatever her name is. But Lash ended up improving on her own. They see big things in her. Honestly, at the very least, it's nice to have a fresh face on SmackDown because they could use someone like her in the mix, even if she is teaming with Nia Jax for right now. But I think they're a fine team. I don't really know why they're teaming. They were literally just feuding with each other on NXT 2 months ago. It feels like most things they do in this company don't make fucking sense. But anyway, I think she's decent. Hopefully she continues to improve. I was never really a big fan of her mic skills and the whole lashing out with Lash Legend talk show. I thought that shit sucked. I thought she herself in the ring sucked for a while. But like I said, she's gotten better. She's improved. So hopefully she has a nice future in front of her. Millennial Noob, what's going on? Thanks for joining. WWE is just matches in 2025, hyped for no story. Well, they have some stories, except that their stories just aren't great. They've had stories this year. Some of the stories have just been fucking terrible. Jordan B., who I know really can't join us live most weeks, but I appreciate you joining us live here today. He said, I miss Giovanni Vinci. I hope he's doing okay mentally. If I was an indie wrestling promoter, he would be one of my guys, or one of the guys I would book on my show after he got released. Honestly, I think it's just a case of him not wanting to take bookings. I feel like if he was taking bookings, then he would have been booked by now. Giovanni Vinci is great. I miss him too. I think it sucks that he's not on the show right now, but or that he's not anywhere right now in wrestling. But that's probably, if I had to take a guess, it's probably his choice. The Tegan Knox thing, I think someone asked a question about it, so I'll talk about it later on. It was one of the scheduled questions that someone sent in. But Tegan Knox has said, She just has not gotten a lot of bookings at all since she got fired from WWE the second time. I don't think that's the case with Giovanni Vinci. He just fell off the face of the fucking earth. Like, he got fired earlier this year. He hadn't been on TV in like about a year anyway. And then I don't really think he's said anything. I don't think he's been active on social media. There hasn't been any talk about him. I know someone tweeted the other day, like, oh, where is this guy? And I've been wondering the same thing all year. Like, where the fuck did he go? You know, I have no idea. So I would like to see him pop up somewhere, even if it is indies, because I think the guy's really good. But, you know, maybe he's done with wrestling. Maybe he's just moving on completely. We have no idea. Let's see. Jordan also said, I just realized TNA Turning Point is this Friday. I wonder how they're going to build the event with only one live episode since BFG. I was wondering the same thing. I have no fucking clue. They have an episode on Thursday. They will announce the entire card for Victory Road that day. But their monthly PLEs are fine, like the non-pay-per-view PLEs that TNA does. They're fine. But with no build, who's going to give a shit? Why would anyone pay for that show? I mean, unless it's just Bound for Glory rematches. But the thing about TNA right now is they have zero buzz. The only buzz they have is from anything that has been featured on NXT, which even that isn't all that much. They haven't had a single live show, a single show period with any original content since Bound for Glory a fucking month ago. So how do you expect people to give a shit about your product or the storylines if you have nothing else going on? They've been doing clip shows for the last month, which has been nice for me, not having to watch it and review the show. But for Victory Road, why would anyone care about that show when you've done nothing to announce any new matches, progress storylines? I don't know. I imagine they'll just announce a complete makeshift card coming up on TNA Impact on Thursday. What did you think of the Boston fans trolling Nikki Bella during her heel turn last night? I was around some people in the crowd that were chanting Cena left you or whatever, and I saw that. I guess it got picked up on TV too. She's a heel. I don't know if she cares about that, but I saw someone else point this out on Twitter, and it is funny. I didn't really think anything of it. I don't really care about people chanting that unless she's like hurt by it or disrespected by it, whatever. But the whole funny thing about the John Cena left you thing, she dumped him. I mean, you don't even have to watch Total Divas to know that. As someone who did watch the show, I can tell you. But you don't even have to, like, she was the one who broke up with him. I mean, for whatever reason, I know, he didn't want to get married or have kids, and he ended up changing his mind on all of that, and she still dumped him anyway. But yeah, she was the one who broke up with him. If it wasn't for her, they might even still be together. Who knows? But I just thought that chant was weird because it doesn't make sense. Richie said, Road Warrior Hawk, Road Warrior Animal, Road Warrior Graham. Yeah, I mean, I'll take that. If I can be among the greatest tag team of all time, I will not complain. As long as they don't beat the shit out of me or fucking rib me or something. No L said, Graham, do you think Triple H buried Julia with how bad he booked her U.S. title run? I think people throw the word bury out there way too lightly. I don't think he buried Julia, but he definitely mishandled her. The reign was abysmal with no real effort or any creative thought into the storylines or the matches, not really allowing her to be the star that she can be. The Kiana James pairing, I don't give a fuck about that at all. I think Kiana James is very boring. She's bland. I don't give a shit about Kiana James. So, yeah, I don't really care about the pairing at all. So, no, I don't think Triple H buried her, but he definitely did her no favors. We can at least say that much. Fernando said, should Nia Jax and Lash Legend win the women's tag titles? No, if they do, not yet. Honestly, I'd rather see what Lash can do on her own. But for them to win it soon, I mean, we just saw Charlotte and Alexa lose the belts to the Kabuki Warriors, who honestly, I could see them losing those tag titles. I could see them losing the tag titles, not to Bayley and Lyra. What was the other team? Not Stephanie and Nikki. They just broke up anyway. Nikki just turned on her. When the title change happened last night, I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, we might get new tag team champions with this. What was the other fucking team? Who else is there on Raw and like SmackDown? I don't remember. It's not Lash and Nia though. It wasn't Lash and Nia. And it's not Charlotte and Alexa. There was another team that I'm like, I could totally see these two people beating the Kabuki War. Oh, Rhea and Io. That's what I was thinking of. I mean, I know they're not a real team, but they have been teaming and they were feuding with the Kabuki Warriors. They were the whole reason why Rhea was out. The Kabuki Warriors might have a brief run and drop the belts to Rhea and Io, who can then, I guess, win the belts from, who can then lose the belts to Nia and Lash. But no, I don't think Nia and Lash win the tag titles from Charlotte and Alexa. But will they win the titles at some point? Probably. I mean, Nia's already been tag team champion what feels like a million times, so I don't really care to see it, but I think it is a possibility. Give me Backshot Solomonster. I love saying that. It's just such a goated name. It's just fucking hilarious. But anyway, he said, I have a theory as to why they won't give up on the MFTs. If they give up on them, that means giving up on Solo and him being relegated to catering, and Big Cousin Roman will not stand for that. Maybe. I mean, they just will not give it up. I think Solo, there's a role for him on the show. Leading a faction is not it. It's a nice change of pace for him from what he was doing in the Bloodline as the Enforcer. Like, they've evolved the character nicely, but he's just not cut out to be a leader. He's just not. He's just not made to be a leader on the show. So, Von Tell said, how do you feel about these WrestleMania 42 women's match predictions? Rhea versus Steph, and Bianca versus Jade for the titles. Liv versus Roxanne, Io versus Asuka. I think all of those are great. I think we're going to get Io and Asuka before then. I would be shocked. You know what? I take that back. I was going to say I would be shocked if they did four singles matches with the women at WrestleMania. I think that'd be amazing. I don't think they did that this year. I think we didn't get singles matches, but we got Tiffany and Charlotte, the triple threat for the Raw Women's title, for the Women's World title, the tag title match, and we did get Jade and Naomi one-on-one, but we got the tag title match. I would forget about the tag titles of Mania next year. I would do Liv and Roxanne I like. I don't know if that's a Mania match. I mean, AJ Lee might fit in there somewhere. I don't know. I would rather see women's matches, singles matches at Mania than tag matches, but I think all of those are possible. I just don't think they'll wait until Mania to do Liv and Roxanne, and definitely not to do Io and Asuka. I would hope so. I don't think they will. WrestleMania is not for another 5 months, and Io and Asuka have already been feuding for like 2 months. But the other matches I could totally see being waited or held off on until WrestleMania. Fernando said, who does Tegan Nox think that she is? Walking out before Collision started on Saturday. She was released from WWE twice. She's done nothing in wrestling that matters, and was lucky she got an opportunity. Damn, that's fucking harsh, but you're not necessarily wrong. I mean, that whole situation was dumb. I'll talk about it. Someone asked about it, so I'll talk about it soon. But, yeah. I mean, her and I guess her girlfriend, Miranda Alizé, them walking out because they were upset they got 3 minutes. Okay, whatever. I'll talk about it when I answer the question later on. Nathaniel said, yeah, I watched all the seasons. In winning time, there's Lakers fans all over the world. It was a great show. It was a very good show. I was bummed it was not renewed for a third season and it got canceled. Who do I think Cena should lose the title to? Definitely not Gunther. I mean, if they do Gunther and Cena on his final match, I mean, Cena should lose the title before then. I think Gunther winning the title back just accomplishes nothing, genuinely. I don't really think that makes much of a difference. Him losing it to Dom, I think, would be stupid. I mean, why even have him win it in the first place? It'd be nice if it was an NXT person, but it would have to happen either next week or at Survivor Series. But I think it's going to be Gunther. Who would I prefer him to lose it to? It would be nice if he did like an open challenge next week and lost it to like an Oba Femi or an LA Knight. I don't see any of that happening, though. Richie said, Nikki Bella will be John Cena's final opponent. Then at the end, they will fall in love again and both retire together. And that is how the reboot of Total Divas starts, streaming exclusively on ESPN. You know, that sounds far more interesting and more thought out than anything they did creatively with John Cena's heel turn. Nathaniel said, John Cena's dad was like, Cena beats Dom and then loses it back to him on December 13th. No, that'd be fucking stupid. I'm not even a big fan of, Cena winning the title in the first place. But Cena winning it and then losing it right back to the same guy a month later would just be astronomically stupid. Why would you waste another Cena appearance? I mean, doing Cena and Dom in general is fine. I would not waste any more appearances on rematches. I could see them doing that next week. No thanks. I just feel like that'd be a complete waste of time. Noob said, a lot of people insert the word buried to any Joshi wrestler. I mean, it's not just Joshi wrestlers. They say people are buried all the time, but people use the word buried way too lightly, like I said. You know who was fucking buried? Giovanni Vinci was buried. You want to get an example of someone that was buried? Giovanni Vinci was kicked out of his own group and then not seen or heard from for months, got drafted to SmackDown on his own, got repackaged, all these vignettes for weeks. In his first match back on SmackDown, loses in seconds to a jobber in Apollo Crews. They have a rematch. He loses in a matter of minutes again and is never seen from again, is never heard from again or seen, and then he gets fired. That is a fucking burial. What they did to Julia is not a burial. It was not ideal and it sucked, but it was not a burial. Johnny said, what has been the best women's tag team to date? I think Charlotte and Alexis have done really well. They had honestly a very good run with a lot of defenses in the span of 3+ months. I don't know if they're the best, but I think Bayley and Sasha would probably be the answer. They held the tag titles a couple times, had a lot of great matches, did more for those belts than probably any other team. Asuka and Kairi are also great, so I would go with any of those 3 teams. I think Bianca and Jade were also a fine team for as long as they were together, too. Fernando said, so what if the Boston fans were trolling Nikki Bella? That's what happens in sporting events. LeBron James and Tom Brady and others get trolled all the time when they are behind enemy lines. Why not Nikki? I mean, yeah, no, they control her, but I mean, what they were mocking her over just didn't make sense. Let's see. Rhea and Io, as far as who beats them for the tag titles. Yeah, that's the team I was thinking of. How long do I see Stephanie Vaquer holding the women's world title? I'm going to say until Mania. I could see her losing it at Mania to Rhea or someone else. She could lose it before then, but she just won it 6 weeks ago, so I would not be rushing to take it off of her and put it on Nikki Bella, for example. No thanks. I think it's a fine feud, but Nikki Bella should absolutely not be beating Stephanie Vaquer. Von Tell said, I think they can drag out Rhea versus Asuka all the way until Rumble season. Then it shifts focus to Io versus Asuka for Mania, in my opinion. Yeah, but then what's Io doing in the meantime? Is Io just in the background? Is she still teaming with Rhea? You know what I mean? So I don't really know what more. I mean, I guess that's possible. That's very long-term booking. Noob said, and I also think you would have to put Becky on the Mania card. People kind of forgot about her. So I think they might put Becky on the card before Asuka, but that's just me. Noob said, I think the whole Io and Asuka story should not be involving the titles moving forward. Hopefully the women's tag title run for the Kabuki Warriors will be brief and have Asuka and Io Sky go 1-on-1. I agree. Richie said, chances of Joe Hendry coming out and challenging Cena next Monday in MSG since NXT and TNA will be in town, ? Very slim. I think there's a better chance, honestly, of Joe Hendry answering, or rather joining the John Cena tournament. Joe Hendry showing up, facing Cena, and then beating him would be fucking huge. But the thing is with Joe Hendry, he's in NXT. So, like, I mean, he wouldn't beat him. But, I mean, I guess you're just saying, like, would it happen at all? Very unlikely. Very unlikely. I think there's a better chance Joe Hendry's in the tournament and he faces either LA Knight on SmackDown this week or Solo on Raw next week. I mean, he probably isn't beating Solo, unfortunately, although he fucking should. But, yeah, chances are slim of us getting Cena versus Hendry, but it would be very cool. Johnny said, Andrea's going to be the special referee for Stephanie versus Nikki. What is your obsession with Ludwig Kaiser's new girlfriend? Jordan said, if you ever do get the old U.S. replica belt, would you do the same thing that you were doing now with your IC title and have everyone that has ever held that championship sign it? Excuse me. That's a great question. Probably not. I've thought about that. The answer is no, because I feel like I've already put so much equity into this IC championship replica belt that I have and having all the prior champions sign it, that just to do the same thing all over again with the U.S. championship, like the IC title as it is a lifelong goal adventure to have all the former U.S. champions sign or IC champions sign it. To do it twice would be a lot. Now, would I do it with something smaller like a Money in the Bank briefcase? Maybe, because there's been a lot less people that have held the briefcase than the fucking U.S. championship. But maybe. For the U.S. title, I think if I were to get a replica U.S. championship, which is honestly, I've said this before, that was the belt I always wanted as a kid. As a kid, I always wanted the toy Jack-specific U.S. championship. I never got it. Every time they had it at Toys R Us, I either couldn't buy it or I was grounded or something as a kid, whatever the fucking reason was. I have a ton of other titles, but I don't have that one. And then when I eventually got older, I didn't want the fucking replica thing. I didn't want a toy belt. I wanted the real thing. I ended up getting it, the IC championship gifted to me instead, which has worked out wonderfully. But I always wanted specifically the older version of the United States Championship. Not the one we have now is great, but I'm talking about the U.S. title that they did use from like 2003 through 2020. That is the replica U.S. Championship that I wanted. I will probably buy it myself at some point, but the U.S. Championship is the one that I wanted. I think I would just have it just to have it. I think I would have it just to have it and not have people sign it, because I feel like that would just be, first of all, it would cost me a fortune. Because a lot of the people that have held this championship have also held that one. So I'd have to do it all over again. And it's been a fun adventure in the last 8 years, but it's not something I want to spend another fucking 20 years on. But anyway, it's funny you mention that, because my first thought when Cena won the title last night was, fuck, man, I got to now have John Cena sign this fucking thing. And I've met John Cena before. I have a picture with John Cena. I do not have an autograph with John Cena. From John Cena, but I guess I'm going to have to now. And the part that sucks about that, you would think, oh, that's so cool. Like, John Cena's going to be able to sign it. You know, he's held the championship now. He's going to be able to sign it. Brother, if you have ever been to a convention and have seen I paid a stupid amount of money to even meet Cena the first time and have him sign that, or not sign, have him take a picture with him. I now have to have him sign the belt. That's like hundreds of fucking bucks. Which I was already in. I have to do that at some point anyway for like a Roman Reigns or a Triple H if he were to do a signature or like a autograph signing again, or, you know, The Rock's never going to sign it, but like a Stone Cold or whoever. All those people, like Stone Cold is a great example. I could have had him sign the belt at Mania weekend in Vegas at Access. He was there doing signings. The problem is that he was doing signings for like $400, $500. And I'm like, that's too much. I'm sorry. I tap out at that. Cena's probably half the price, but it's still like, I really, like, the fuck? He had to fucking win it before he retired? Fuck! Now I have to have Cena sign it. So, whenever I have to add a new name to the list of people to sign it, it's fine, because usually a lot of these people are available to sign it. Cena is available. He does signings, he does cons and stuff. The problem is that I now have to pay fucking $300-$400 to have him sign this fucking replica belt, because he's now held it. Fuck. Nathaniel said I would be shocked if Nikki beats Stephanie. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I would be shocked too. Fernando said, I think it's so stupid that Triple H sucks sign was confiscated from security. Signs like there's a LeBron James sucks sign when he's playing in his rival stadium all the time. WWE sensitivity is dumb. Yeah, I mean, it's not the same thing. I mean, WWE is a television show, and they want to steer the narrative. Like, they don't want that to take away from the show. A LeBron James sucks sign is not going to take away from the game. People don't give a fuck what kind of signs you bring to an NBA game. The WWE shows, and they encourage signs. They care a lot about the signs. They show the signs on TV. They show the signs during commercials. They care a lot about that shit. They care a lot about that shit. So I mean, I'm not saying they should have confiscated it. It is funny. Like, it's a pretty harmless sign. He got his feelings hurt by the sign, I guess. But I could see why they would confiscate it over like other leagues and shit, because people don't really bring signs to other leagues, and even when they do, it's not really about the signs and whatever. It's not that. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Now, if there was a sign calling out, not LeBron James, I don't really think that's a good example. Triple H runs the company. If there was a sign calling out like the Triple H sign wasn't controversial, but if there was a sign calling out one of the NBA leagues, one of the heads of the NBA league or the NFL or whatever, I feel like that would be a different story. Von Tell said, Io versus Kyrie until Rumble season. I can see Kyrie either turning on Asuka at Mania or right after. Yeah, I don't think we get Io and Kyrie for the next 2 months. Rumble is at the end of January. It's November 11th. We're not getting Io and Kyrie for 2.5 months. We already got the match once before on Raw. They're going to do it again for the next 2. I mean, I guess at Triple H's pace, we probably could. I don't really think that's necessary. I also would not, you got to remember too, you can't drag out feuds for that long. People will get bored. We've already been getting Io and Asuka. They've already been teasing it since the summer. You wanted to blow it off at Mania? Like, we need to move on at some point. I like the feud, but you can't drag it on for 5 months. Cena should lose the Intercontinental title to a debuting Obafemi, Fernando says. I like the idea. I mentioned it before. I think so here's the thing. If Cena's final match is going to be for the title, then I like the idea. I have said since the get-go, I am totally cool with Gunther being the one to retire Cena. If the title's on the line, Gunther winning the belt back, I think accomplishes nothing. He's already held that belt for how many years? Like, it would just be dumb. But if he's going to be champion going into that show, it kind of changes my thoughts a little bit. Now, no one in the tournament, I think, makes sense to face Cena for that title, unless it's Sheamus. Now, someone asked me about that. I will get to that in a little bit. Sheamus would make sense because he has never held that championship and he has history with Cena. I wouldn't mind that. But Obafemi would benefit way more. I would not mind that idea at all. But the last I heard, Obafemi wasn't done in NXT. That was 2 months ago, but I don't know what's going on with Obafemi. I would not be upset at it, but I guess we'll find out. If my current career did not work out, Fernando asked, did I have a plan B career choice? Yes and no. I mean, really just, it would be something in writing. If it wasn't wrestling writing or whatever, in doing media, it would just be probably working at a newspaper, which I've done before anyway, so it's not really like that drastic of a career choice. It's not like, oh yeah, my plan B was becoming a nurse. Like, no. It would have been writing or something in, when I say television, I mean like news or whatever. What I wanted to do growing up, actually, fun fact, was be a teacher. So that wasn't really my plan B, and I could still be a teacher. I have my master's, so that's actually something I can do if the opportunity presented itself. But that was actually the only thing I ever wanted to be growing up until, like, I don't know, middle school maybe. But as a kid, I always wanted to be a teacher. Eric said, I'm sorry I missed most of the stream. No worries, Eric. Nice to see you here in the chat. Thanks for joining regardless. Richie said, that U.S. title design has always been one of my favorites as well. Yeah, I love that design. A lot of people did not. A lot of people did not like that design, but I always loved it myself. Maybe just because I grew up on it. I don't know. Richie said, have you made a video showcasing the IC title and its signatures? Yes and no. I did a video years ago when WWE first started doing Most Wanted Treasures. They were doing a contest of like, oh, what's your most wanted treasure? So I did a video of me with the Intercontinental belt, and not just with the replica belt, with all the signatures. And I actually won. I didn't come in first, but I came in like second or third or something like that. And they actually sent me like, they sent me some shit. Like, they sent me some free pictures and autographs or not. It was something like that. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty fucking cool. So I made that video, but that was back in 2021. I've gotten a lot more signatures since then. And I don't even know if I put that video up here on the channel. It might have just been on Twitter. So I will have to do an updated video showing off all the signatures. We're up to like 50 or 60 of them. I want to say 50, but I feel like it's 60 now, but I don't remember. The belt's right over there. I just have to go over there and get it. But I will probably at some point you guys have asked, I will probably have to do a separate video at some point showcasing all the signatures. I feel like that'd be fun. Do I think Dom will be a main eventer next year? No, but he could get closer to being a main event. I could see him as Mr. Money in the Bank. That's possible. Richie said, unless you can get to Comic-Con in Liverpool on the 15th, that'll be the next opportunity you can get for him to sign the IC title. Well, thankfully, Cena does a lot of conventions. WWE has him at Access. I mean, I guess he's retiring at the end of the year. I don't know how many Accesses he'll be doing going forward. But he was at Boston Comic-Con like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. He was at New York Comic-Con when I went a few years ago. He does a lot of Comic-Cons. So here in the Northeast specifically, I don't know how that's going to change now that he's not doing WWE, but I feel like he'd be doing that stuff anyway for Peacemaker and all the other shit that he does. So, especially now that Peacemaker is even more popular now than it was a few years ago. Yeah, so I could probably have him. It's not like Stone Cold, like Rock doesn't do anything. Stone Cold very rarely does autograph sessions, and when he does, it's incredibly expensive. Cena's expensive, but he's a lot more available, but that might change in a few years, so we'll see. Fernando said, what is your most precious, memorable item that you own? The replica IC title, not even close. It's got to be that. Nathaniel said, I have a hoverboard, too. I've mentioned this before. I have a hoverboard from Back to the Future 2. I was gifted it by my brothers for Christmas years and years ago. And when I got it, my goal with it was always to have it signed by the main members of the Back to the Future cast. Sure enough, that is exactly what I did. I've had all main 4 members of the movie sign it that do like conventions. So I've had Michael J. Fox sign it, Christopher Lloyd sign it. I've had Biff sign it, and Leah Thompson, which is the mom in Back to the Future. So that might be the second one, but the belt is easily number 1. It's not even close. Nathaniel's got a couple Lakers jerseys. Very nice. Vontel said, with Triple H's pace, absolutely. Priest and Malachi have been feuding with each other for damn near 5 months. I know. Listen, I'm not saying you're wrong. We could get Io and Asuka until Mania. But just because that is Triple H's pace doesn't necessarily make it right. Malachi and Damian should have been blown off with the Last Man Standing match last month. I really liked the match. It was a very good match. Alistair won. Move on. And they're not really doing anything to keep it interesting since then. I like the Zelina-Alistair Black pairing, but we gotta move this shit along. Fucking blow it off already. It's ridiculous. Do I think it's odd that the War Games teams have not yet been formed yet for Survivor Series? No, because they have TV time to fill. They have next week and the week after, so we already know a majority of people who will be in both matches, so I'm not surprised at all. Top 5 Grand Slam winners in WWE, Fernando asked. I have no idea. I mean, we have so many Grand Slam winners, and what does Grand Slam champion like even matter? Like, it's not the old school Grand Slam, which was like you had to hold the world title, intercontinental title, tag titles, and like the European or hardcore or whatever the fuck it was. But that hasn't been a thing in a long time. So the new Grand Slam it changes. It's just whatever. It's whatever titles they have. So, like, the Universal title was never a part of it, but then it was, and now it's, I don't know. It's very confusing. But Cena's pretty decorated, so I guess you'd have to put Cena on that list. Do I think Dom and Liv go face? I said this earlier, but yes, I do. Jordan said Seth Rollins getting injured definitely screwed the main War Games match. Cody being in the match makes no sense. Jimmy Uso and LA Knight should be in the men's War Games match. I agree. I mean, it does not make any sense at all. The only reason why Cody's in it and they're not is because he's a bigger star. If you want to go for a bigger match with bigger star power, then you put him in it. And people like Cena, even though they have nothing to do with the feud at all. But yeah, that the LA Knight, I mean, Jimmy Uso I could give 2 fucks about, but LA Knight not being in it pisses me off. My top 5 favorite IC championship reigns. Number 1 is easily Gunther. Not even close. Gunther's number 1. 2 would be The Miz in 2016 when he held it from Mania to Backlash? No Mercy. He held it for like 6 months, and he had a really, really good run with it. I like those 2 runs. When Rollins was champion in 2018, he had a really good run too. I might put him in there as well. That might be it. I mean, there really aren't a lot of runs I thought were overly great, to be honest with you. The IC Championship was kind of a stepping stone for a long time. And I feel like the title got passed around so much, it wasn't really anything important. But when Dolph Ziggler held it the first time in late 2010, I want to say, he had a lot of defenses. I think he faced and beat MVP to retain the title. Kofi Kingston, Caval, I remember him facing and beating for the title to retain it, among other people. So maybe that one as well. Not a whole lot of them, though. Eric said, how did Andrade walk out of AEW if he's not in the company? I think you're confused. So he didn't walk out of AEW. He walked out of a show that he was doing over the weekend, or last night or something. I don't know. He walked out of a show this weekend. It was not an AEW show. He walked out of a different company. And I don't know why. I mean, he was scheduled to wrestle, and he can wrestle because his non-compete only pertains to America, like the U.S. So I guess he can wrestle in Mexico. I don't know. It's very confusing, but he didn't walk out of that. He walked out of some other company that he was working over the weekend. It wasn't AAA, obviously. I don't even know if it was CMLL. It was a different company. Am I visiting Mr. Marceau for his birthday? Yes, I'm seeing him on his actual birthday on Sunday. Fernando said, wow, you met Leah Thompson and got her autograph. That's awesome. Yeah, she was great. I met her twice. I have a picture with her. I met her once in 2018, then I met her a second time last November and had her sign the hoverboard, I almost said belt, the fucking Back to the Future hoverboard that I have. And she was very nice both times. Eric said, it'll get blown off when Lolo or Rhea join Priest to put Alistair and Selena away. Yeah, I could see that. Hopefully it's soon, though. There's no real reason to drag it out. Eric said, I would have rather had Cody versus Priest, put LA in Cena and War Games. Cody and Priest isn't... Why would Cody face Priest, though? It doesn't really make sense. Priest lost to Aleister Black twice. I mean, why would he get a title shot? I mean, I know maybe you're thinking of Fatu, but I mean, realistically, Cody should have dropped the belt to fucking McIntyre at Saturday, at Saturday night's main event in November, but, whatever. Fernando said, who on NXT's main roster ready besides Obafemi and Javon Evans? Jada Parker, I could see getting called up. Sol Ruka is ready. Jordan Grace is ready. Blake Monroe is ready, but they're all kind of busy. Ethan Page is ready. Ricky Saints is ready. A lot of these people aren't getting called up because they're champions, but any of those people are ready and could be called up at any point. Mainly those people, though. Tony D'Angelo should be on the main roster. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. Jordan said, The Miz definitely... Hold on, I got a fucking notification. And that blocked out your comment. The Miz definitely won in life, he said. Nobody expected him to be this successful and marry Maurice. The Miz haters can't tell him nothing. I agree. The Miz is his booking makes him look like a loser, but in reality, he's really the biggest winner of them all. God bless him. Fernando said, can you see Ricky Saints becoming world champion on the main roster? Probably not. I feel like his size will hold him back. Is he talented enough? Sure. Will it get to that level? Will Triple H push him at that level? Honestly, I'm very doubtful. I really do doubt that, but I think he can do well. He should absolutely be a mid-card champion, I'll tell you that. Eric said he meant Cody Alistair. Yeah, Cody Alistair would have been fine. I don't know if that would have worked as a Survivor Series program, but it would have made more sense than Cody and Priest. Do I think that Tatum and Izzy are ready for the main roster? Izzy Dame, no. Tatum, maybe. Tatum, I think, would have been great if they called her up with Gigi Dolan as part of that whole tag team and with Shotzi, but they fucking fired Shotzi and Gigi. I could see her doing well on her own, though. Just let her have her run in NXT. That was the champion, and then we'll worry about that. Izzy Dame is not ready now. Izzy Dame is not ready at all. But she has improved. Von Tell said, I think Tiffany will be grabbing the tag rope at WrestleMania 42. What are your thoughts? Yeah, but to team with who, though? Bianca or something? Like, who is she teaming with for WrestleMania? She probably, if that's their way of getting her on the show, then I wouldn't be surprised. What are my thoughts on the Ridge Holland situation? It's a fucking mess. It's a fucking mess. I've talked about the situation a lot. I didn't talk about it on WrestleRant Radio last week. We didn't really have a chance to. We didn't have time. But I'll just say this. I mean, they really should continue paying him. They don't have to. Like, legally, they don't have to. Morally, I think it would be nice because he did get hurt working for them, and then they cut his they did cut his contract short, but that's only because he tweeted what he did. They did not renew his deal. It would have been up this week anyway. But he got hurt working for you, so you should probably pay him and you should probably pay him and continue to support him until he can wrestle, and then he can worry about his own bookings and whatever. At whatever point. They did say they're paying for his neck surgery. Again, that's great and all, but he can't support himself in the meantime. That being said, I saw the GoFundMe set up. You know, people set up GoFundMes, and Amos donated. A couple people from AEW donated. One of the Bucks did. Kyle Fletcher, Chelsea Green was kind of like the first person to donate. Jinder Mahal. And then after days, he comes out and says, I had no knowledge of this. I'm going to take it down. It's like, okay. And then he said he was going to donate the money to charity, which was very confusing. But what he said in his statement, and a lot of people misread it, what he meant was when he recoups the money, when he makes the money back, like, so maybe he'll keep that money that was donated to him. He didn't really say if he was going to keep it or not. It was very confusing. But when he makes that money back, he will donate that amount to charity. Okay, like, that's, who cares? Like, he's not donating the amount of money that was donated. That money that was donated, he's not putting that towards charity. And I don't think he should. I mean, charity's nice and all, but people donated to that GoFundMe for you. If they want to donate to charity, they'll donate to charity. You know? But then he's like, okay, when I make $500,000 again, I'll donate that to charity. Or, I mean, it's not $500,000. I think only, how much money did he make off the GoFundMe? Was it like $10,000 or something? $6,000? I don't know how much it was. I guess if it was like 500, I mean, it wasn't 500,000. That'd be ridiculous. It was like $6,000. Okay, cool. I guess. I don't know. Who cares? Like, that's nice that you're donating it to charity, but who gives a shit? Just fucking take the money, say thanks, and be like, listen. But the thing is also, it's like, how did you not know about it? The GoFundMe was up for like 3 or 4 days, dude. 3 or 4 days. He was on social media quite a bit fucking complaining about WWE cutting him short, which is why they cut his contract short, because he was whining about it, which he probably should not have done. And then he lost a week of pay for that, you fucking idiot. And I feel bad for the guy, I do. WWE should absolutely continue to pay him. But then he was talking shit while still technically under contract. They can really do whatever the fuck they want. So that was very dumb of him to do that. And then for him to put out a statement and then have the GoFundMe up for like 3 or 4 days, it's like, do you need the money or not? That's another thing too. Like, he's like, oh, I don't approve of the GoFundMe. First of all, you said this 3 days after the fact. Why didn't you talk to whoever put it together? Or how did you not know about it, first of all? Especially after how active he was in social media for so long. And then second of all, what was the other thing? Oh, he said he was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage. Okay, dude, like, people are donating to you to help you pay your mortgage. But then he's like, I don't need it. What's going on here? Like, and that's not even to say like the whole saving of the money thing for the years that he worked for WWE. I'm not even talking about that. I don't care about that. However he spent his money while he was in WWE, he doesn't have enough money post WWE to pay for his mortgage. Whatever. I don't care about that. He's got a family to support for whatever he paid or whatever he paid for prior to that. I don't really give a shit about. But like, he literally said 3 or 4 different times, I can't pay my mortgage. I can't pay my mortgage. And then people donate him money, and he's like, oh, never mind. It was very fucking weird. It was very strange. I know he wasn't a fan of how it was set up, but it's like, dude, maybe just take the L, shut the fuck up, see if WWE will help you. If they don't, you might need a GoFundMe to help pay your mortgage. That is a big deal that if you can't pay his mortgage. But these people are trying to help you, including your fellow colleagues. Just take the money or not. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's very much a mess right now. Tiffany and Liv against Judgment Day girls. Now, Liv has been in enough tag team matches at WrestleMania. That would be an absolute waste of Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan should be in a singles match at Mania. She's been in so many tag matches. Who gives a shit? No thanks. Do you see TNA signing Ridge Holland? No. I mean, honestly, they probably should. I mean, he got injured working for their company, not for free. Because Mr. Marceau and I were talking about this when we went to Bound for Glory. He asked me, like, do you think these people, like these wrestlers, get paid more for working for TNA while with NXT and vice versa? And I said no. I don't know that as a fact. I do now. But at the time, I just assumed no, because I think they might just pay them what they're paying them. And the amount of dates that they work, like, that's not fixed into the contract. Like, you just work as much as they tell you to for a fixed amount. And then sure enough, it came out. They're not getting paid extra for working TNA and vice versa. So morally, it would be nice because TNA, he got hurt in TNA. So it would be nice if they hired him just to pay him for a little while. I don't think that's going to happen. If TNA is working very closely with WWE, I doubt they would want to rock the boat. I would be shocked if TNA signed Ridge Holland. They probably should. I think it'd be nice. I don't think he is. I don't think they would, though. I feel like they would very much. I feel like they would. It would. TNA doesn't want to get in the middle of it, even though they kind of already are. They probably don't want to get in the middle of it, so they're just gonna stay out of it and not attempt to sign him. I could see Tony Khan stepping in and then just paying the guy until he's free. I mean, Tony Khan has the money and he's done stuff like that before, so I'm not saying he needs to or should. I'm just saying I could see it being within Tony Khan's character to do something like that, which would be nice. But, he doesn't need to. He's not obligated to. No one is. Aside from WWE, I think it would be nice for them to do it. Fernando said, did you enjoy the Welcome to Derry recent episode? Yeah, it was good. It was good. I mean, I think the last two episodes were better. But it was a bit too much going back and forth with like the 1908 stuff and whatever. But overall, I thought it was good. I am enjoying the show so far. Where do I see King Coda going? Dakota Kai. I think she just might work indies. I mean, she's been out of wrestling since she left WWE earlier this year. That's not to say that she won't go there or anywhere else, but you would think she would have come back somewhere sooner. TNA would be great. I don't know if she wants to work for the company that works for the company that fired her, so maybe not. Her in AEW would be nice, but like, would they really do much with her? I doubt it. At one point, it would have been nice to see Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai team up in AEW because they were a team so many years ago. But it seems like Tegan Nox just completely fucked herself over with what she did over the weekend, so I guess that's not happening. Let's see. Are Alexis and I going out for Thanksgiving, or are we cooking and having people over at our place? No, we always hang with family on Thanksgiving. We never, it's never just us. We always go see family. We'll probably see both. I usually see my family. She usually goes to her family, but I usually see their family. I don't know. It kind of depends. We don't really have it figured out until Thanksgiving comes. But no, we'll probably we never host Thanksgiving. We usually just go to family, whether it be extended family, parents, whatever it might be. That's probably what we're going to be doing this year, too. I hope Liv goes on a solo run. Yeah, that'd be nice. I think it's going to happen at some point. Thoughts on the AEW walkouts? What walkouts? What AEW walkouts are you talking about? Fernando said, would AEW be a good fit for AEW? AEW would be a great fit for AEW, but I'm sure you meant that was a typo and you meant something else. Eric said, I could see Dakota Kai dethroning Mercedes Moné. I would be shocked. I think that'd be great. I don't think they would put Dakota Kai in that spot to come in and take the title from Mercedes. I think it'd be nice, but I would be shocked if they pushed her at that level. I think Mercedes would want to do it, but I just don't see that happening. Where do I think the Drew suspension storyline is going? I don't even think they know, honestly. Like, I saw the report from Meltzer that he's filming a movie. He's actually not. Drew's filming that movie next year. They were going to film a movie in the fall, but it got pushed back as Henry Cavill got hurt. So they're not filming until, like, the spring now. I think they just suspended him because they don't want to do Cody and Drew again right now, but they're going to have to do it at some point because they fucking continued the feud on Friday. So I don't know, man. I think Drew might be back in like 2 weeks. And then it begs the question, well, why would you suspend him if he's just going to come back? That's a great question. They've been doing a lot of shit recently that makes no fucking sense. So I have no idea. I don't think they even know where it's going. Fernando, what he meant to say was, do I think Ridge Holland is a good fit for AEW? No, he's not. What the fuck would, would it be nice if Tony Khan paid him? Sure. I mean, I could see Ridge Holland getting paid by Tony Khan to come in and do a couple enhancement matches or working for Ring of Honor. Here's the thing with Ridge Holland. He seems like a nice guy, and this has nothing to do with his current situation, but he never panned out. Like, I don't really like this. I don't really care, but I saw him say, they never really saw me through to my full potential. Granted, he got hurt a couple times. But brother, Ridge Holland was there for fucking years. Years. He worked for that company for at least 6 or 7 years. He worked there for a long time. He never was all that interesting. I liked Ridge Holland when he first came into the company. I thought he had potential in NXT, NXT UK, but he just never panned out, especially when they put him in the Brawling Brutes. I liked him with Sheamus. I liked him with Dunn. And he's a fine worker, but as a character on his own, he's fucking boring. With the Chase U shit, I never really cared about. He did fine heel work last year in NXT, but then once that ran its course, he just wasn't all that interesting. Like, he never really ended up becoming a great worker. Like, he's very average. Very average. It's not as if they signed him and they fired him within a year. They've done that to a lot of people, especially when Vince was there. Ridge Holland worked there for a very long time, and they gave him a lot of opportunities. He just never really was above a certain level. He was very expendable. So the fact they got rid of him doesn't shock me at all. Honestly, if Ridge Holland got fired or released or they didn't renew his contract and he wasn't hurt, no one would be talking about Ridge Holland. Not a single fucking person. And I'm sorry, he seems like a nice guy, but I'm just being honest with you. I don't think a single person would give a shit that Ridge Holland got let go. The only reason we're still talking about it is because he got hurt. If he did not get hurt, no one would care. People get fired. You know how many people have gotten released this year that no one talks about at all, or you might even forgot that got released? He would have just been another name in an article talking about recent releases that no one ever talked about again. But I do think they should pay him because he got hurt working for that company. I maintain that, but I'm just saying Ridge Holland, it's not exactly like he has this booming indie run loading. Like, I don't really see that happening, but, I'd love to be wrong. What did Tegan Knox do? They walked out on Collision. I mean, if that's what you're talking about, the walkouts. Okay, that's what Eric said. Tegan and her partner. Someone asked a question about it, so I'll go back to it, but Tegan and her life partner and tag partner, Miranda Alizé. I know who Miranda Alizé is. I didn't know they were dating, though. I thought Tegan was dating someone else, but whatever. They were going to work a match on Collision this past Saturday. They did. Or no, actually, no. So they worked a match on Collision the week prior, and it was a squash. And apparently that didn't go well. But they brought him back for Dynamite, and they didn't need him for Dynamite, so they put him on Collision. And they didn't want to lose in 3 minutes. They didn't have an issue with losing, but they didn't want to lose in 3 minutes. I mean, this is the same person, and I'm a big Tegan Knox fan. But Tegan Knox is the same person that was complaining for a little while there that she was not getting bookings. Honestly, it was very sad. Like, it was very sad to see where she was in WWE years ago, to them being on an interview on a YouTube channel saying, it's tough getting bookings. She had to open an OnlyFans. I would imagine she probably did that to make money. Like, she might have been desperate for money. I don't know. Maybe that was her own choice anyway. I would doubt that, but I don't know. A lot of why people only open, it's not like it's their passion. Like, they're obviously trying to make some fucking money, which is whatever. Would she have opened the OnlyFans if she was getting all these bookings? My answer to that would probably be no. Probably not. But anyway, she wasn't getting bookings, and then she was going to work Collision with her tag partner. They didn't want to lose in 3 minutes, and they left. Why would you do that? They may have ended up getting signed by AEW, and you work jobber matches so you can eventually do a more competitive match. Tegan has more of a name than Miranda Alizé, but it's not as if Tegan left as a former world champion in WWE. She didn't win anything. So, and I like Tegan a lot. She's very talented. But just to have that mentality of like, oh yeah, it's not 3 minutes isn't good for me, brother. It was literally, that doesn't work for me, sister. And that doesn't make sense to me at all. Now they're never going to have you back. Why the fuck would they? Maybe they will. I'd be very surprised. What are my ups and downs from Raw this past week? From Monday night. I didn't really think the Cena win made all that much sense, but, the match itself was whatever. But people popped for the win huge, so I guess that was an up. I liked the main event. I thought overall it was a very good show. The logic of Raw right now with what they're doing going into War Games doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'd give that a down. Like Cody Rhodes being in War Games makes no fucking sense at all. That's a down. But the overall show was an up. I thought Raw was good, and the crowd ate up the more important stuff. And I liked the ending. I thought it was an overall good show, and I love seeing Regal too. We should ask Big E about Ridge's full potential. Yeah, I mean, Ridge injured Big E, but even if they capitalized on Ridge, like, getting all that heat, which would have been kind of gross, honestly, because Big E legit can't wrestle again, I don't really think it would have led to anything. People were joking for a long time, oh, they could have put him with the New Day. I mean, no one would have cared. Grayson Waller with the New Day is fucking random, but at least he's more entertaining than Ridge Holland. I mean, that's just the truth. Speaking of Pete Dunne, where is he? He's one half of the fucking Americanos. He's under the mask. I don't know if he's Bravo or Rayo or whatever his name is, but he's one of the guys under the mask. Do I think that low ticket sales for WWE shows that WWE will pivot and lower the prices? No, I don't. I think it's going to be a while before they do that. I think they're going to be very fucking determined about their ticket prices and will not lower them. I think that would be to them admitting defeat. It will happen inevitably. I mean, it's just peaks and valleys. It's how any business is. But they just started raising them within the last year or so. They're not going to all of a sudden make them go cheaper out of nowhere. Especially when they can boast about, oh, we made all this money on all these tickets, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that happens anytime soon. Who would I rather have on my roster, Ridge Holland or Wardlow? I mean, that's not even a question, Fernando. It's obviously Wardlow. Ridge Holland is fine. Wardlow is way more of a star. He's gotten hurt a couple times. His booking sucks. His booking in AEW sucked. But Wardlow is way more over at his peak in AEW than Ridge Holland was at any point in his multiple-year career in WWE. So easily Wardlow. Eric said, does anyone even remember people like Riley Osborne, Eddie Thorpe, and Indy got released this year? So Indy did not get released this year. Indy Hartwell got released last year. But to her credit, she's had actually, and I'm biased because I'm friends with her, but she's done well on the indies. I think she's the House of Glory Women's Champion. She's won several titles. She was in the Knockouts Women's title match at Bound for Glory. She's had a good run in TNA. So Indy I would not include in that conversation. Do people remember that Eddie Thorpe and Riley Osborne got fired? No, people do not remember that at all. I think both guys were good. I think Riley Osborne was great. Eddie Thorpe just kind of fucking bored me. I've said that before too, but have they done anything in wrestling since they got fired? I don't remember. I don't think so. Johnny said, I want to see AEW create more titles. Absolutely not. Definitely not. Tony Khan should create the AEW Intergalactic Championship and the Heaven and Hell title. The AEW WrestleRant Championship? Oh, God. Do not give them ideas. The AEW Sicko title? I'm going to be honest with you. I could see Tony Khan doing that. I could totally see Tony Khan creating a Sicko championship at some point. I could totally see that. That's such a terrible idea. But I could see them doing it. They almost made father and son championships for Nick Wayne and Christian at one point. And they didn't go through with it, thankfully. But I could absolutely see them doing like a hardcore title in AEW and having it be called like the Sicko Championship. I bookmarked this. I could totally see that happening at some point. I hate that we're even discussing it because I could see that being a possibility and that would be awful. But it's possible. The AEW Alpha and Omega Championship, the streaming title, Florida title, local title. Hey, listen, at this point, just give everyone a title. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, if everyone has a title, then what does it even mean? It's like The Incredibles. If everyone has powers, then who actually is special? Who actually has superpowers? Who's actually a hero? You know what I mean? Women's trio titles? God, no. I mean, I was kind of down on the idea of doing women's tag titles. I thought that was stupid for a long time, but so far, they're making the most of it, and they have some pretty good teams. If that's going to be the case long term, I don't know. It probably won't be, but so far, so good with the women's tag team titles. All right, so what we're going to do now is go to the scheduled questions here. I will answer these and then go back to the chat before we wind down here in a little bit. So if you have any chats you want to send in, I will not read them right away. I will read them in a little bit. Keep sending them on in, and I will answer them afterward. But Noob said before I go to the scheduled questions, he said, if you want to talk about walkouts, Andrade walked out on a wrestling show in Mexico, of all places. Yeah, I saw that. I mentioned that earlier. With more titles, it's easier to tell stories. No, it is not, Johnny. It is not. If you have 1 million titles, the more titles you have, the less those titles mean. That's a fact. You can tell stories without championships. That's what a concept, I know. But It is possible to tell stories without championships on the line. Copeland and Christian will win the tag titles at some point. I'm sure they will. Eric said, I think Riley signed in New Japan to join Bea Priestley, who I think he's married to or dating or whatever. That's cool. I don't watch New Japan, so I have no idea. But if he is in New Japan, that's great, because I think Riley Osborne, from what I saw of his work in NXT, he was really good. So if he is in New Japan, that would make a lot of sense. All right, so we'll get to the scheduled questions here. And like I said, we'll go through these. We will go through the chat at the end. I will go back to the chat when I'm done with these. So keep sending in your chats, and I will answer them afterward. Jordan B., who's here in the chat, sent in a question ahead of time. Which member of Dark State do I think will have the most success in WWE? Right now, I'm going with Dion Lennox, he says. I'm going to go with Osiris Griffin. Dion Lennox is very fucking generic to me. He's got a good look. He's a fine worker, but there's just nothing interesting about him at all. Osiris Griffin, I mean, they're all kind of generic, but he's got a good look to him. He's the body guy of the group. The Shaquan Sugars guy is also energetic. I haven't really seen enough of his work in the ring to kind of make an educated guess as far as how good he'll be. But I'll go with Osiris Griffin. I could see him doing well on the main roster, regardless of how good he is, just because he has size on his side, and he's not terrible, from what I've seen. Jordan's second question. Except for the New Day, how would you rank Kofi Kingston's other tag team championship partners with CM Punk? His other partners with CM Punk, R-Truth, and Evan Bourne. So yeah, Kofi is teamed with all of those people. Evan Bourne and Punk, it's tough, because I think both of those guys were great partners for Kofi. I'm going to go biased answer here. When I started watching WWE in 2008, Punk and Kofi were then the tag team champions. I mean, they didn't win the tag title. They weren't tag team champions when I started watching, but they won the tag titles a couple months after I started watching. And it was a great moment when they won the titles on Raw. So I'll go Punk 1. Him and Evan Bourne were a great makeshift team. They were Air Boom. They had the music. I mean, Evan Bourne might be number 1 beyond the New Day. But I'll go Punk 1. You know what, actually, I'll go Evan Bourne 1, because Punk and Kofi were not together long enough to really be an amazing team. They were only together for a few months. Bourne and Kofi were together for, also not that long, but probably maybe 4 or 5 months. They were together for a little bit longer. But I'll go Evan Bourne 1, Punk 2, and then R-Truth 3. I never really cared about the Kofi R-Truth tag team. That kind of just felt random to me. Fresh Fly said, Cena versus Dominic, IC title match at Survivor Series. Cena wins. Then you do Sheamus versus John Cena, IC title on December 13th for Cena's final match. Sheamus won his first title from Cena and can now win his first IC title. Not only that, but Sheamus also retired Edge. And I think this is a better option than Gunther. What do you think? So you got the Cena winning the IC title part right. It wasn't at Survivor Series. You sent this in before Raw. So we saw Cena win the championship last night. So we're not getting Cena and Dominic at Survivor Series. The rest of your chat, honestly, I do not like, or I don't hate. I don't mean to say I don't like it. I don't hate that. Cena losing the belt to Sheamus, I don't hate. Sheamus can then win his first championship, his first IC title from Cena. We can see Cena and Sheamus one more time. They've had quality chemistry before. It's also on the anniversary of when Cena and Sheamus had their first match together at TLC 09. The exact same day, TLC 09, exactly 16 years later, he could beat him in his final match. I think that'd be a great story. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to say no to it. You said that's a better option than Gunther. I disagree, because I feel like if Sheamus wins the IC title, it's more about John Cena than about Sheamus, so it kind of overshadows Sheamus' moment. It would be a nice moment, but I'll go Gunther being the better option. But I honestly like that idea more than some of the other options I've seen for Cena's final match. Like him and Dominic again on December 13th would just be fucking stupid. That would be awful. So I like the Sheamus idea, but I like the Gunther idea more. I just don't like Gunther becoming champion. Is kind of the part of that I don't like, is I don't think the IC championship needs to be on the line for Cena's final match. Your second question. Do you think Seth Rollins will pull a 2008 John Cena and return at the Royal Rumble, set up the match at Mania versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship? No, I don't. I don't think Rollins will be back early for the Rumble. I think that's just not going to happen. At the absolute earliest he could compete might be Mania, and that's like another 2-3 months after the Rumble, so no. I think whatever Rollins is dealing with is serious enough where he's not back that early. And I think doing Rollins and Punk and Mania at this point is kind of old news anyway. Like, we're beyond that. And Punk would probably have to win and retain the title. That's kind of fucking lame. I'd rather Punk work with Cody or Rollins work with Breakker. Or you're just going to forget about that, you know? So, yeah, I don't see that happening anyway, but I don't even really like the idea. Unless, I mean, who else would Rollins face? I mean, who's the champion on SmackDown? Cody? Like, I guess we just saw that, so I guess not that either. No, I don't think Rollins should be back early, nor should he win the Rumble. What are my top 5 favorite Monday Night Raw endings in WWE history, they asked. I don't know if I have a top 5, just in the time that I've been watching. Let me think. Definitely when Brock Lesnar came back in 2012. That might be number 1. I thought that ending was amazing. The night that CM Punk returned on Raw in 2011, it came out to Cult of Personality. That was a great ending. I really enjoyed that. Was not expecting it, although I probably should have. That was a fantastic ending. I'm sure there's been other ones in the last 10 years. I really just don't remember. There's been a lot of great Raw endings. Those are really just the 2 that stand out. I don't have a top 5 favorite Raw endings. I'm thinking of, like, even in recent years, what a great Raw ending would have been. The Shield breakup actually happened on my birthday. I'm not going to say that was my favorite because that depressed me. It was a terrible way to end my birthday that year in 2014. I'm sure there's other ones. I just can't think of them right now. I don't know. Noel from Facebook. First and foremost, happy Veterans Day to everyone. He also said, in your honest opinion, what would be your top 5 John Cena was in the right to go over his opponents of all time? So that's a confusing question. What I think they're asking is, what are top 5 situations where John Cena was in the right to go over? There's honestly not many of those situations. Usually the question is he should not have lost to this person, or he should not have beaten this person. He should not have gone over in these certain situations like the Nexus and Bray Wyatt and all these other people. When was Cena in the right to go over? I came up with 5 instances. 1, when he beat Khali. I don't think anyone's ever said, oh, Khali should have beaten Cena to win the WWE title in 07. No one fucking said that because that would have been terrible. So he was in the right to beat Khali in 07. When he beat JBL to win the championship initially in 05, and then any other match they had after that Cena won, Cena was in the right. JBL did not need to beat John Cena. Kurt Angle, any of the matches they had in 05, people would have probably wanted to see Kurt as WWE champion, although he did go on to win the World Heavyweight Championship in early 06. In all of the rematches in 05, Cena beat him, I think, every time. Or at least he never lost the title to Kurt. I think that was probably the right call to establish Cena as the main event guy at that point during his initial main event run. 4, Shawn Michaels. I think Cena was in the right to beat Michaels in Mania at 23. People probably would have wanted Michaels to beat Cena, but I think Cena winning was the right call. And then 5, him beating Triple H in 06 and Mania 22. I know Triple H was really popular that night. That kind of spawned his babyface turn soon after. People were really behind him in Chicago. They really hated John Cena. But Cena beating Triple H was the right call. He absolutely should have won that match to further cement him as a main event star, like I said. Their second question was, thoughts on the whole Tegan Nox and her partner pulling a Sasha Banks-Naomi situation in AEW. So I talked about this earlier. I won't go into much more detail about it because I already kind of gave my thoughts on it. It was incredibly fucking dumb. I know Tegan has come out on her Twitch stream with her partner talking about the situation, and she said there was no bad blood. There might not be bad blood on their end, and there might not be bad blood according to what they were told by AEW, but Sean Ross Sapp, I mean, a lot of insiders have come out and said no. And even based on the amount of wrestlers I've seen come out and say, that was fucking ridiculous. How dare you say that 3 minutes doesn't work for me? You guys aren't even fucking signed. And I like Tegan Nox. I think Miranda Alizé is talented from what I've seen of her work, but they're not even signed. To say that 3 minutes doesn't... Why the fuck would you want to have it, for Tony Khan's sake? There's a lot of shit you could say about Tony Khan. Tony Khan booking a 10-minute competitive match with Ty J or another team or whoever against these 2 women that are not even signed and are not that big of deals. Why would you do that? Ty J going over was the right call. That was really what it was all about. Not the match. It was about the outcome. They were going to be in the tag team title tournament. Tegan Nox and Miranda Alizé are not. Why the fuck would they have a 10-minute match? That would just be stupid. And what do they even expect? Like, were they told ahead of time it would be a 10-minute match, and then they were told it'd be 3? Like, to that extent, I would get being a little bit frustrated, but you still do the job anyway. Like, you can get over through the work that you do in the match. You don't get over if you don't show up for work and you just say, that doesn't work for me. Is losing in 3 minutes really going to hurt the stock of Tegan Knox, a stock that doesn't really exist at this point? Not really. So, I didn't agree with that at all. I thought that was just completely stupid. At Uagu91 from Twitter, their first question was, I read a comment on YouTube about the first Deadline event, which is on YouTube for free, I guess, that the Iron Survivor match should be brought to the main roster in a few years. Do you feel the same way, or should the match remain exclusive to NXT? No, it would be nice to see on the main roster. I like it as an NXT exclusive for now, but I always liked the scramble concept. I know people thought it was shitty or terrible or whatever. I always liked it. I'd rather see the Iron Survivor match brought up when necessary and not War Games where it's happening at the same time every fucking year where it just gets old. Do it when it's necessary, not at the same show every single year. But doing the Iron Survivor at War Games or at Survivor Series, first of all, would be fitting. And second of all, it would give us a bit of a reprieve from War Games happening every single year with both the men and the women. Their second question, based on how the execution of what The Rock was hinting to, seeing his heel turn, did not get followed up on, is it a lot more apparent that McIntyre and Punk should have headlined Bad Blood last year? Yes, absolutely. I mean, even last year, even after The Rock came out, I could see why they closed with Rock returning for a quick cameo that meant nothing really. But with the Punk McIntyre thing, they should have closed regardless. I said that at the time. That should have closed regardless. I know Cody and Roman teaming up was a big deal, and it was. They were in Atlanta. I get it. Punk and McIntyre was a much better match, and it was also a worthwhile feud, and they closed it out on a great note. They should have absolutely headlined that show. So it looks even dumber in retrospect that they closed with the Rock cameo when he went like this, and then it amounted to nothing. Next question from @Uagu91. Do I think for sure that the Judgment Day will finally come to an end when next year when Liv Morgan returns? Going off the above headline question, yes, I do. The Judgment Day has got to be over. I think if they kick out Liv and Dom, who are really the last remaining lifeblood of that group, what do you even have left? Finn Balor's not enough. JD McDonough is not. I like JD McDonough, but he's not fucking. He's not going to carry that group. And I like Roxanne, but Roxanne's just kind of there right now. Raquel's just kind of there. Like, no, they need to break up the Judgment Day. And I think it's going to happen next year. I think we get the implosion of Dom and Liv breaking away. We get Finn and Roxanne versus Liv and Dom. I feel like that makes sense. We get that tag team match at some point. Maybe at Mania. I want Liv in a singles match at Mania, but whatever. And that should really be the end of the Judgment Day. By that point, Judgment Day will have been around for 4 fucking years. Which is fine. I mean, the group has been very successful and very good, but it kind of reached its peak a while ago, and I would say probably in 2024. So I think it's time to move on. I do think it's going to end next year when Liv Morgan's back. Millennial Noob, last couple of questions here. First one being, what's next for Julia after an embarrassing loss on SmackDown? I say move her to Raw and have her feud with Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World title. I like that, but like Julia has no credibility right now, so people would not take her as an instant threat to Stephanie, and she's not going to beat Stephanie anyway, so I would not do that. Julia's only been on SmackDown for a few months. I really don't know what you do with her. Maybe she and Kiana James team up as a team and go after the tag titles, but they're probably not winning those either. I really don't know. I mean, to put her back in NXT after only being gone from NXT for a few months, I don't think it's like, I don't know I really do not know what you do with her. Maybe you turn her heel or turn her babyface, perhaps. I genuinely do not know. I would get her away from Kiana James. Break her away from Kiana James. She's a waste. She adds nothing to the act at all. I would have her work, though. Have her feud with actual stars. Have her feud with Tiffany. You know what? Actually, that's my answer. Have her feud with Tiffany. Get fucking Kiana James out of there. But I would have Julia feud with Tiffany. Because Tiffany's a name that you can benefit from working with. You don't have to turn Julia back babyface yet. You can stay on SmackDown. The main women's title picture is kind of busy right now anyway. Keep Julia away from the U.S. title because that was clearly a waste of time, unfortunately, in retrospect. So have her feud with Tiffany. That's what I would do with Julia next. Who should Jade Cargill feud with before Bianca Belair comes back, they ask. Alexa Bliss, and then Charlotte. They teased it last week on SmackDown. I don't know how good the matches will be, but they make sense. I think Jade and Bianca should be the Mania match. If Bianca's back in time, which I'd be shocked if she wasn't, but she's also been gone for a long time as it is. That would be the match that makes sense, is to do Jade and Bianca at Mania, and then have Alexa Bliss go after Jade in the meantime, and then Charlotte probably at the Rumble would be what I would do. You do Alexa Bliss and Jade, maybe it's Saturday night's main event or at just some point in December. You do Charlotte and Jade either at the Rumble or Chamber or both, and then Jade and Bianca at Mania. That is what I would do. And then maybe a Tiffany rematch thrown in there somewhere. Maybe that within the next month, and then you do Bliss at the Rumble, and then Charlotte at Chamber. I feel like that would make the most sense. And his last question, what are your thoughts on AEW announcing the national title last week? I think it's a dumb thing to do. Not only that, but I think they ruffled the feathers of the NWA, most likely over the Shockwave IP. Yeah, I guess the NWA and AEW are involved in a lawsuit right now together over the IP Shockwave, over the Shockwave IP. The NWA used that name for a few years, not very long though, and now AEW wants to use it. Just come up with something else. It's like, just give it to NWA. Who gives a shit anyway? And the whole uproar over, the NWA already has a national title. Who cares? That doesn't really... I think the NWA capitalized on it by mentioning, we already have a national championship. The NWA capitalized on it by mentioning they have a national championship and reminding people that they, as a company, still exist. So it probably benefited them more than anything. But they did specifically say, we're bringing back the national championship for the first time in 40 years on TBS. Not just in general. In general, that might not be true because there is a national championship in the NWA. But, for the first time on TBS, the last time I checked, NWA is not on TBS. So technically that is true. Just the overall idea, though, I talked about this on WrestleRant Radio briefly at the beginning of last week's episode with RJ, that to do another championship in AEW after they just fucking unified the Continental and International Championships is ridiculous. It's so unnecessary. It's basically the same thing that the International Championship was. There's no fucking difference. Complete waste. Stupid idea. Fucking dumb. Very stupid. NWA or not. The idea of AEW and Tony Khan introducing yet another championship that will not mean anything and will very quickly become an afterthought is a complete fucking waste. I'm not even really sure in retrospect, what the point was of even merging the Continental and International Championships. If they're just going to have a national title anyway, and we have the TNT Championship. Who the fuck is the TNT champion as of now? Oh, Kyle Fletcher. Okay, I kind of forgot about that, honestly. They just have way too many titles. Big roster, I get it, but still way too many titles. All right, we'll finish up with the chat here before we head on out of here. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Who are my favorites for the women's tag team titles? Favorites to win the tournament? I don't know. I would say Ty J, but I feel like they're not going to make it. I'll go Sisters of Sin. I could see them winning the whole thing. That being Sky Blue and Julia Hart. I'm trying to think of who else. Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford, maybe, if Penelope Ford was in there, but now it's Marina Shafir. I guess, but they're not a real team, so I would not have them win. I would like to see Ty J win, but I think it's going to be Sisters of Sin. That's my guess. What do you do with Jamie Hayter with Aminata being injured? Push Jamie Hayter on her own, which is what they should have done anyway. I could see them doing a Jamie Hayter-Tekla rematch. Jamie Hayter wins that too, or they do a rubber match or whatever. But I would push Hayter on her own. Jamie Hayter can team up with Britt Baker. If they were going to, they would have done that a few years ago, but the Britt Baker is nowhere to be found, so I guess not. We all know Cutler will be the star of Dark State. Definitely not. I liked him on Next Gen, but he's not really all that charismatic, and he'll be the first to get cut from the group. If any one member disappears first, it would be him. Give AJ Styles the TNA title one last time. I would love to see it. I don't think it's going to happen. It'd be cool. Listen, we get the fucking AAA Mega Championship on Raw every week. They had the TNA World Championship in the Rumble this year. They had it at WrestleMania. So it's not impossible, but AJ Styles is almost done, so I just don't see that happening as part of this retirement tour of his. The Squirter said, would I say that Randy is the new Zig? I don't know what that means. Randy Orton? The new Ziggler? Randy Orton is not the new Dolph Ziggler at all. Dolph Ziggler was a fucking loser. Randy Orton is one of the most established and over people in the entire company. So if you're saying he's the new Ziggler, that makes no sense. But you also said, I remember I had turned off Raw before Seth Rollins turned on the Shield because that episode was beyond boring leading up to it after Batista's Royal Wave Goodbye, LOL. I remember that show was fucking terrible. A lot of Raws in 2014 were very boring. And a lot of people probably turned the show off before it actually happened. But much to my surprise, coming back from a birthday dinner and then watching that, I was pissed. I was like, oh, I was shocked. But I had like legit heat for Seth Rollins at that point because I was a big Shield fan. I love the Shield. Then they broke it up, and I was very disappointed. Jordan said, what team do you think will beat the Hardy Boys for the TNA Tag Titles? At first, I thought AJ Francis and Rich Swann, but with Swann being on a pay-per-view appearance and what happened to BFG, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know who's going to beat them for the tag titles. It would probably be a team they've already faced. AJ Francis and Rich Swann would have made sense, but like you said, Rich Swann's not under an actual contract, so probably not. I guess we'll have to wait and see. We'll probably find out come Thursday's Impact, depending. I mean, I'm sure they'll be at Victory Road, so we'll probably find out on Thursday who they're facing on that show. I don't know if they'd lose the titles on that show, but we'll find out their opponents at the very least. Johnny said, Did you like clean sweeps in the Survivor Series elimination matches? No, I think once in a while it could work, but overall, no. When Roman Reigns did it in 2013, I thought it was cool, but if you do it too often, then probably not. The Squirter said, should Judgment Day bring back the other side? Yes, because that's a way better theme song, but I think they lost the rights to it, and the group's almost over anyway, so probably not. Johnny said, rank these Survivor Series elimination match performances. HBK in 03, Roman in 2013, Dolph in 2014. HBK in 03, I'd probably go 1. Dolph in 2014, I probably would go next because that main evented the show and it was a big deal at the time. And then Roman in 2013. Roman was already a star on the rise. Dolph didn't really benefit from his because he ended up, Dolph ended up doing nothing after that. So I probably would not go with Dolph. Judgment Day should break up on a PLE named Judgment Day. That'd be ridiculous. Let's see. What tier list would I put the 2019 Survivor Series event, Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT? Probably A. I think that's probably where I would go with. Hold on. Got a whole bunch of napkins here. Oh, my nose. Jeez. My God. I'm like congested all of a sudden out of nowhere. I apologize. I got to get going here in a couple minutes anyway, but I don't know. It's not allergies. I'm still fucking exhausted, but I think I'm at the just being completely destroyed physically from being at Raw yesterday and all the travel's finally catching up to me. But don't want to say I'm sick because I don't think I'm getting sick, but hopefully not. Anyway, so I would probably put the 2019 Survivor Series in the A tier. Tony Khan is so desperate to get ratings, whether they sign new talent or introduce new titles, but they definitely don't draw. The titles don't draw. They sign new talent, they could draw, depending on how they're booked, but the new titles do not draw. They don't give a fucking, they don't make a fucking difference. Squirter said, should Rich Swann get another WWE chance? I think it's too late. He got fired almost a decade ago. Like, what is he really going to do in WWE? He's very good, but he also has his own issues, and he's in TNA. That's probably the closest that we'll get him back to being in WWE. TNA is probably the best spot for him at this point, to be honest with you. I would have liked to have seen him back a few years ago, but he's had other issues, and like his ceiling in WWE, he was very charismatic. He was a very good wrestler, but he was always ever just really a cruiserweight guy. They don't have the cruiserweight division anymore, so what the fuck else would he even really do in WWE? Johnny said, imagine if we had gotten a Survivor Series crossover show in 98 between WWF, WCW, and ECW. That would have been interesting. That would have been crazy. I mean, they weren't going to work together if WWE didn't buy WCW and ECW by that point. In 01, they could have done that, but they went with the Alliance versus WWF instead. So they did kind of do it in 2001, but not with every promotion for themselves, and the invasion storyline was completely botched anyway. Richie said, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could Chuck Palumbo? Great question. I have no idea, but I will say my Chuck Palumbo video that I have here on the channel, which is probably one of the highest viewed videos I have on the channel, of his Titantron. 1 is still active, and 2 still gets comments to this day. I posted that video here on the channel in 2009. People still fucking look up Chuck Palumbo. It's insane. And am I watching Predator Badlands? Yes, I'm hoping to see it today. I should have my letterbox. If I do see it tonight, it's not. I'd be seeing it tonight, not today. I'll be seeing it in a couple hours. If I do, my letterbox review should be up tonight. So keep an eye out for that. I'll let you know what I think. I've heard good things. I am looking forward to it. Richie knew that I was going to mention that. Yeah, I mean, the only ever thing I think about when I hear of Chuck Palumbo is, 1, he has a great theme, and 2, I have a video here on the channel of his Titantron. I don't know why I posted it back in 2009, and it has hundreds of thousands of views. That still gets comments to this day. He's been on this channel for 16 fucking years, dude, which is insane. Chuck Palumbo hasn't even been around in 16 years, and people still look up his Titantron and leave comments on that video, which is crazy. But anyway, I got to get out of here before I completely fall apart more than I already have. I apologize again for my voice and not being all here today. I'm still kind of recovering from going to Raw last night, and I'm going to be at Raw next week, and just, there's a lot going on. I'm fucking depleted. Richie said 354,000 views. That is fucking crazy. 354,000 people love Chuck Palumbo. If he had that sort of fan following back in 08, 09, then he wouldn't have gotten fired. But that is crazy. That video is up to that amount. We got to get it to like 500,000. But it'll be another 16 years, but at some point. I love the Love Ziggler emojis in the chat. Thank you, Richie. Fernando asked, am I reading any new wrestling novels? Wrestling novels, no. And not at the moment. I'm still reading Bob Barker's book. I've been trying to read it for like 2 months. I just haven't had time to really get through it. I want to finish that before I start anything else. I did buy Karrion Kross's book, and I was excited to get that. I found it at Barnes & Noble. I was like, awesome, let's get it now. So I bought Karrion Kross's book. From what I've heard, it's a great book, and I am looking forward to reading it. I probably won't read it until after I'm done with the Barker book. I might read something else after that, so no book reviews on the horizon right now, but when I do finish my next book review, or wrestling book, I'm not going to review the Bob Barker book, but when I read my next wrestling book, I will review it here for the channel, and you guys will be the first to know. Thank you, Fernando, saying get well soon. Johnny said drink some Red Bull. I don't drink Red Bull. Would Gatorade have the same effect? I like Gatorade. I'll have to get Gatorade, but Red Bull, I'm not a Red Bull fan personally. But yeah, I apologize for the voice. Again, completely lost it on Raw last night. Going to Raw last night in Boston. And I should have it back for Thursday's WrestleRant Radio. And like I said earlier, no Mr. Marceau on Thursday. Just me flying solo. We might have a guest star on the show. I don't know. I'll figure it out. We got 48 hours. But we'll see. Might just be me. So stay tuned for that on Thursday morning. And that's about it. So turn on those notifications and like the video. Like this video. I would greatly appreciate it. It would really help the channel. Richie said, I got 30 pages in, but I got bored. But in all honesty, I was reading it at work and my job is boring. Are you talking about the Karrion Kross book? I got 30 pages in and I got bored. Interesting. I was reading it at work and my job is boring. I'm glad you're reading it at work. That is what I used to do as well. I used to read a lot, like in other jobs that I've had and stuff. I would read a lot, and also in car rides and shit like that, and on the airplanes and whatever, while traveling. Cross has a good writing style though, very humorous. Perfect. All right, good to know. Hopefully, I won't get bored of it, and I will hopefully read it and start it soon, and I will have a book review up at some point in the next few months. Squirter said, "Is the guest star Love Ziggler?" Yes, it is. I don't want to spoil it for those that are actually look. I mean, you know what? It's like the John Cena last time is now tournament. Why would I just tell you the surprise? It might be Love Ziggler. It might be someone else. It might be just me. You're gonna have to wait until Thursday to find out and tune in. But anyway, guys, last couple things here. Thank you to our channel members: Alexis, Miss Maud Matthews, Dillon, DiGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, DJ Swerve 1. At Swerve1 on IG, Mr. Marceau, at RJ_Marceau on X, whose birthday is on Sunday, by the way, coming up this Sunday. And he is in Louisville as we speak right now on a work trip. So he will be back next Thursday on WrestleRant Radio. Also, shout out to John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland right here on YouTube. Richie, Red Planet Wrestling on YouTube. And Average Grunt at gruntwrestling.bluesky.social on Blue Sky. $5 a month gets you all those perks and so much more here as a WrestleRant All Access Pass channel member. Check that out. Would greatly appreciate the support. If you want to send in a question to this show, be sure to tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Monday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop a question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question on next week's edition of hashtag AskGSM. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. No Jordan. I have not watched Braun Strowman's new USA Network show. I probably won't. If I hear enough good things about it, like I've heard literally no one talking about it. Not a single fucking soul. So if I did, I mean, I used to be the type of person to watch like the Stone Cold show on the USA Network and all the other WWE-related content on there. I just don't have the time anymore. I don't really care that much. Maybe I'll watch an episode at some point. I probably won't review the show. But if there's enough demand to review it or to watch it and give my thoughts on it, then I would. But I've seen no one talk about it, so I just haven't checked it out. And I probably won't. But, maybe I'll watch one episode one of these days after SmackDown goes off the air. But at the same time, I just want to be done with anything wrestling-related at 10 p.m. on a Friday and just do anything else but that. So I can't promise anything. But anyway, guys, like I said, be sure to like this video on the way out. Subscribe. All that support is greatly appreciated, including watching after the fact. If you are watching after the fact, be sure to like the video. All that stuff means a lot. So thank you so much. We'll be back right here for hashtag AskGSM next Tuesday. I'll be at Raw next Monday. Hopefully I still have a fucking voice, unlike today. It's going to be a long next couple of weeks. November is a very busy month. And then we will be here. Even before then, though, I'll be here on Thursday, like I said. Just me. Maybe with Love Ziggler. Maybe with someone else. We will soon see on Thursday. And Eric, to answer your question, thoughts on the PWI 250 for the women? I will discuss that on Thursday's WrestleRant Radio. So stay tuned for that. I'll give my thoughts on the top 10, specifically coming up on Thursday morning, probably around noon Eastern time. Turn on notifications to be notified exactly when we are going live. Thank you, Richie, for saying later, y'all. W stream, W chat. Thank you, Richie. Appreciate it, brother. Always great to see you here in the chat. Thank you, guys. Have an awesome rest of your week. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.